Hello, I'm Kim.
And I'm Andy.
And together we are the I Wonder Sisters. Yay! If you're listening on recording day, it is Friday, so happy Friday. But whatever day you're listening on, we hope it's a good one for you. Today our subject is really the law of attraction 3.0 because a lot of people have done what they call law of attraction 2.0. But I think our version of it is a little bit even more advanced than that. So what we're going to be doing is sort of debunking or talking about three issues that you hear very often from the New Age community, and talking about what that really means and what it really says, and why maybe the law of attraction, if you feel as though you are consciously practicing it, because we cannot dispute that it exists. It's like gravity. Okay, so we're not here to do that. That would just be silly. But for those of you who are consciously practicing the law of attraction, we want to talk to you about these three things so that you don't get frustrated and feel as if though you're doing something wrong, and can learn how to just live your life in peace. The first one is everything is all good. I was listening to a gentleman last night, and this was one of the subjects that he had a real problem with, that everything, no matter how it happens, no matter who it happens to, is all good. Everything is all good. And so he started talking about children and the lives that they create and what they may create subconsciously and unconsciously, some of the horrors and things that go on in the world. Are they really all good? Of course, we understand that everything comes to a certain end together, and everything affects everything else, no matter where it happens. But is it really all good, and is it necessary to really say it that way? How do you feel about when they say, oh, it's everything is all good? You know, you say, oh, I lost my whole family to cancer, but yes, it's all good though. It's all good.
I think that's kind of whitewashing the meaning of events in people's lives. Everything isn't all good, you know.
Yeah.
People deal with tragedy every day, and I mean, at the end of the day, people deal with grief and pain and sorrow and despair, and it may have a happy ending, but it's not all good. You know, I think that's Pollyanna language.
Yeah.
You know?
And, you know, the thing about it is that, like I said before, we understand that all events and that all of us are in some way connected to one another. We get that. But when you say to someone, it's all good, oh, it's all good, everything's all good. When you say that to someone and you think about things like the Paris shooting and the gentleman that rode his van along the sidewalks of Paris and killed so many people, crushed people, he was dragging people with his van. I mean, it was horrific. The people that were lucky enough to survive this said it was the worst thing that they had ever seen. They wish they hadn't have seen it because they'll never get it out of their minds. And things like that are not all good. Okay, what that is a happening, an event on this earth, on this planet, that is not all good. That yes, at the end of everything, at the culmination of everything, maybe some good came out of it.
I think that's true. I mean, because people gain perspective, and get certain awarenesses from tragedy that they might not if everything was just sort of skating along la-di-da, fine and dandy.
Yeah. That's so true. I think that's why, we say that we tend to learn not through joy, but more so through our pain and our sorrow and our grief. We tend to learn. And it's not that we can't learn from joy. I believe that we can, but I believe that we have set ourselves up in such a way, have designed ourselves mentally and emotionally that the downs of life tend to bring us more wisdom than the ups.
Absolutely, I do believe that.
Yeah.
And in that sense, everything is all good.
Yeah, and in that sense that you gain wisdom, and as Andy said, you gain a certain perspective which you may not have had before, and you may not have even thought about anybody but those around you and the people that you love. And when tragedies happen, you start to think about everybody. You start to think about, what if that were me? What if my mom was over there celebrating? And, what if my sister was there and got caught up in that, massacre and all the things that happen throughout the world every single day.
It can go one of two ways. It can either make you wiser or more bitter. And I think it depends on the individual. I mean, I think the law of attraction is a very individual thing.
Yeah.
It's not a group manifestation. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I do. I think it is individual because it does bring out different things in different people. Events and happenings and experiences are different for everybody, because you can take 5 people that have gone through the same thing and they all will actually maybe come out of it in a different way.
Yeah.
As you say, number 3 might be bitter and angry with the world, while number 5 is just grateful that they had the time they had with the person or whatever. They find gratitude in little things in everyday life, and and then number 1 will have another experience, even though they all experience the same event. It's not the same.
No.
No. So we want to just, give you another perspective on what that means, that everything is all good. No, it isn't good. If you just got diagnosed with something and you're in grief, or, you're going to need medical help and attention for long periods of time, whatever it may be, you're experiencing grief, things and sadness and depression, anxiety, those types of things, that the thing itself is not all good, but what you can draw from it, and even sometimes what others can draw from it who are around you. They may be able to summon up more gratitude because they look at how you're handling a tough situation. And so it may also affect others as well. And this is where the good comes in. But certainly we don't want people to feel that if they are hurting or in pain, in grief, suffering right now, that it is all good. Okay, it is all good. You don't feel good. And it's not all good, but there is some good that can come from it. But as Andy said, everybody is different, and therefore everybody's lives are different.
Also, saying everything is all good kind of demeans your feelings. It makes you want to deny your feelings if your feelings are challenging and painful.
Yeah.
I think saying everything is all good makes you want to ignore those feelings, which is very damaging.
Yes, exactly. Exactly. Because every feeling and emotion that you have is valid. And no one should be trying to talk you out of that feeling. If you've gone through something that is sad or, confusing, you really need to honor however you feel about that thing. So we're going to move on to number 2, which is you can be, do, and have anything you want. And with this, I want to talk a bit about alignment and your soul's journey. You will not most likely have everything that you want to be, do, and have in your life on all levels of things, whether we're talking about material, emotional, romance, love, in love, friendships, money, all of those things. You may not have all of those things at the same level. And the thing about it is that when New Ageists say you can be, do, and have everything you want, what's left out of that particular sentence is that you must be in alignment with you must be in alignment with what you want, is what I'm trying to say. In other words, if you're not vibrating on the same energy level, then you're not going to be able to have that thing materialize in your world. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Okay. So it's just like when people say, you can't go from 0 to 60, in 5 minutes when you're teaching someone something and they don't know anything about it. Well, it's the same energetically. If you are vibrating at a certain vibration, and we don't like to use the words better or higher or things like that, it's just simply your vibration, where you are at this particular point. And we do know for sure, because of science as well, that we are all energy, that everything is energy that moves at different rates. And so if you are not in alignment with the thing that you say that you want, if right now you say to yourself, I'm living in low income housing, and then you say, they said I can be and do and have anything I want. So you make a vision board and you say, in 6 months, I'm going to be in a house by the ocean. Could this possibly happen? Of course. Will it happen for everyone? No, it will not. Most likely in 6 months will have gone by. You won't even realize they've gone by. You have to be energetically aligned with the things that you want to be, do, and have. You have to raise your vibration. It's just like when people speak to spirits. You have channels and mediums, who contact the dead. They are, the people who have passed are lowering their vibration actually to be able to have that communication, which is why oftentimes it's not very clear, because they are coming from a higher frequency, trying to come down to meet where we are. Okay, and so what we may hear or see in our minds, however your mediumship works, may not be specific or completely clear. And so that's why oftentimes you hear mediums and true psychics might just give you the letter of a name or something instead of giving you the whole name, because they may be able to only discern one letter of the name because they're not vibrating at the high frequency that the person who has passed is vibrating at. Okay, so energy is everything. You must align yourself. You must raise your frequency.
How do you do that?
I think how you do that is that you practice the feeling. I think there's 2 ways to do it, because this is how I did it to get to Florida. I believe that you practice feeling the way that you would feel when you have that particular thing. But I also feel that along with that, I remember saying I had never felt so content in all my life, because I also was appreciative of where I was. I was happy where I was, but I simply wanted a change. And so that thought of the change excited me every single morning. You know, the way my bedroom was situated was that the only thing I could see when I woke up was the sun. I wasn't able to see like the 3 feet of snow that had fallen down, you know, or feel the cold air or anything like that. So I would always just imagine that, yes, I'm waking up to the Florida sun, because that was all that I could see. And I found that it was something that I could use to raise my frequency. But I think that what also raised my frequency was that I was content also where I was. I wasn't trying to run from anything. I was just simply going to something else. Mm-hmm. You know, and I think that those two things, gratitude and also the ability to be able to imagine the feeling, you know, the feeling of, if I would have a glass of wine, I would pretend that I was having it in Florida, you know, because inside my house, you know, I couldn't tell it was, you know, 0 degrees. And so it's those two things combined. I think the ability to imagine, and also the ability to be grateful for where you are at the time, to have a certain contentment about where you already are. Mm-hmm. And I had that. Okay. Because I loved that little house, and I talk about it often. Even though I knew I didn't want to be in Philadelphia anymore, I knew that I wanted to move. But like I said, I wasn't running from Philadelphia. I was rather going to a new experience.
Right. Okay.
Yeah. And that's how I did it. And so as I needed things to help me, they came along, because I was vibrating at that frequency of joy, you know. So, you know, I made a date and I said, I'll be in Florida by June, but I wasn't fretting about it if it had been September. You know what I mean?
Right.
You know, I just had peace. I had just so much peace, and it just allowed me to know that it was going to happen.
Yeah.
You know, so I'll never forget that the combination of that feeling, you know, of actually being content and satisfied, making my little dinners in this little house that I was renting it for cheap, because I was watching the remodelers for the landlord. So I hardly had to pay anything. And, I just enjoyed it. You know, I had a lot of spirit communication there. I could really feel it and all of that. And my neighbors were, you know, very down to earth and very nice. So I enjoyed the experience, even though I knew I didn't want it to be the experience that I would have for the rest of my life. Mm-hmm. So gratitude plus contentment, you know, I think is the key to that. So. Yeah, so did you have anything you want to say about that subject matter?
No.
Okay. Materialism is the next, that abundance equals things.
First of all, I think it's very important to separate out what we want from what we need, because very often people will do vision boards and try to vibrate at the same level that their desires are at, and all that stuff. And instead of getting a new Maserati, they get a Toyota Camry. Mm-hmm. You know, and that to me is the universe's way of saying, this is what you need. That may be what you want, but what you need is something completely different. The materialism rampant in the law of attraction has become, to me, very ugly.
Yeah.
And I think that a lot of people equate abundance with material things and with wealth and with big homes and boats and, you know, going to 5-star restaurants every night of the week. I think the word abundance is guilty of a lot of that, and people who use it, the quote unquote gurus who use the word abundance, I don't think even they know what they mean by abundance.
Yeah, because the word itself, I mean, you can be abundant in anything.
Yes.
You can, be abundant in sadness and
in wisdom
and in wisdom and support.
Mm-hmm.
Where when you need something, the universe supports you and provides it in some way that maybe you didn't even think that it could come to you. I know Andy and I have both experienced that, being in need of something and then having it arrive in a way that maybe we didn't even think of, Friendship, pure, true friendship is abundant. You can have an abundance of everything. And we think also that people confuse abundance with prosperity. Those two things are also different. To me, prosperity is when you receive value for something that you've done. And that value isn't always cash money as well, because you can use your gifts and your talents for someone, and then they can in turn use theirs for you. That's still prosperity. You're still both giving and gaining at the same time.
Right.
And so it's the thought of, all these vision boards with all these, humongous things on them, humongous houses and 7 cars and like Andy said, a boat and a motorcycle and all these things, it's fine to want. It's fine to desire. It keeps a little sort of, pilot fire inside of our souls to have something to want, but some people have what we deem as everything, and then there's still something missing. So when you think about having abundance, just think about all the things that are in your life right now that are in abundance. All the support and love that you have that is in abundance, if that is how your life is right now. As Andy said, wisdom is one of the greatest things to have in abundance, because you can see things in a way before they happen. You can sort of predict how something is going to go for you. When you have enough wisdom, when you've lived enough life to know about these things. So abundance nor prosperity does not always mean cash or things that cost cash. The difference to me between abundance and prosperity is that abundance simply means a lot of something. You're overflowing with something. It may not even be what you want, but there is some abundance in your life somewhere. Okay. And prosperity to me means an exchange of value. It means that I'm doing something and from you I receive something in thanks for what I have just done, whether it be a trade, barter, or whether it be cash.
Yeah.
That's the difference to me between abundance and prosperity. And just know that it doesn't have to always be money, and that if you're the things on your vision board, you worked with an Oprah show some years ago and you have this old vision board and you don't have anything on it, we want to explain to you how at least you can align yourself. And like I said, gratitude really is number one. A sense of contentment and gratitude for what you already have is a very, very, very powerful thing, because you're feeling good, and when you feel good about where you are, when you feel a sense of contentment, maybe you can't get to feeling good, but you can feel a sense of peace that it won't always be this way. And this situation will not always be. I know that things change, and I know that which I desire can come to me if I align myself with it, and that's energetically. So, and we'll talk more about, because alignment and frequency is its own topic. And maybe next week we'll go more into that.
Yeah, I think we should.
And how you actually do that, because how I did it may not work for you, but it will work for some people, but we'll bring to you some ways in which you can begin to align your energy with what it is that you do want to be, have, and do. So that's what we wanted to share with you today. Anything else you want to say about this?
No, except that I think the law of attraction is responsible for a lot of unhappiness. And the law of attraction as it's being preached.
Yes.
Not as it's being worked. And I think when you decide that you want something, you have to be open to the universe providing that which you need more than that which you want. And you may find that what you need is more precious, should you receive it, than that thing that you think you want.
Yeah. Yeah, and many times it brings you even more joy. You didn't even know that you could gain joy from that particular thing or event happening or material thing or whatever. You didn't even know. So just be open-minded, open towards the universe to say, this is how I want to feel. So can you help me feel this way, And I think that's it for today.
Yeah.
Yeah, and send us some well wishes on these allergies.
Yeah. We're both sitting here sniffing.
Yeah, we're sorry about that. We really are. But we live on a huge horse ranch, and I think it may just be the hay or the change of season or the combination thereof. So anyway, excuse us for all the sniffling. So, anyway, we thank you. We hope that you enjoyed this, that you gained something from it, that you learned something from it. And as I said, it's sort of like LOA version 3, taking you up a couple notches from what is commonly being taught. So we just want to thank you and say, check out our website at iwondersisterhood.com. If you want to reach us via email, it's iwondersisterhood@gmail.com. Also, we are always on Instagram at iwondersisters, on Instagram. You can DM us. We do readings, and we do mentoring sessions and energy healing. It's Andy's work. And so if you are interested in any of those, please just give us a shout. And like I said, DM us on Instagram at iWonderSisters, or contact us through the website at iWonderSisterhood.com and iWonderSisterhood@gmail.com. So we thank you.
Thank you.
Have a great day. And there it ends.